Hello everyone, it is Saturday, February 4th at around 6:30 p.m. and I figured I would do, it's only a full moon approaching, so tomorrow on the 5th, so I figured I'd pull some cards and just see what's up. Intense couple weeks for sure. For me personally, lots of self-care, lots of introspection, staying in healthy habits that I can take into the spring, changing some of my habits that I might have been more lackadaisical on because I had other priorities prior. So, making sure I'm getting enough water, making sure I cut out soda. So I had started drinking soda in last summer. Just a little bit, like some Coca-Cola. And I, haven't drank soda in like 20 years or something. So this bad habit that I was doing with myself was just, Coca-Cola can take the rust off a penny, so you can imagine what it does to your body. So I've completely cut that out, and now I'm focused on now I'm doing kombucha if I need a little bit of bubbly, that's totally Pluto in the first house things, death for rebirth and things that affect your physical vitality and what you're able to output. And I think soda just drains your energy, So it causes all kinds of unnecessary problems. Lots of sugar, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, I've been drinking. I love when this one comes in season. This is one of my favorite kombuchas because it's got some blue-green algae in there. And I'm a Cancer moon, so, that water, that ocean vibe, we're definitely ocean water, lakes, rivers, streams, all that stuff. So let's just go ahead and pull some cards for the Leo full moon approaching tomorrow and see what's going on with the energy right now. The Fool, of course. So the Fool, before I go on my little spiel about it here, I got a runny nose, but let me see. Let me see what the Fool is saying. I gotta get a tissue. Give me 1 second. And today I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I've just been feeling very private. Right now I'm going through in my progress chart, I have Scorpio on the ascendant, and then I also have Saturn conjunct my Scorpio ascendant at 11 degrees, exact. So, I ebb and flow with putting myself out into the world, especially when there's so much volatility without me even being involved. I'm I know myself, and I know that the energy that with Pluto in the first house Libra, and having a Leo sun, there's just, I can express myself in a certain way, or I can bring the most sincere, honest, light inside out, and it's going to be taken in all kinds of shades and shadows because it's done through the lens of the watcher, the perceiver, So when I feel that there's a volatile external environment or external energy going on, Scorpio rising is not about putting themselves out there. I'm a Libra rising natally, but also at 11 degrees. But, with Scorpio as my progressed phase of life right now on my ascendant, it's just a lot more inward, especially with Saturn sitting right there. It's a lot more, there is a seriousness of approach, that when people misconstrue my intentions or make blanket statements about certain characteristics of Leos or blah, 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 I'm just nah. I personally don't feel that. And I have Pluto in my first house in general. So they're in Libra. So that's kind of like a Venus, that's kind of like a Persephone style mythology. And with everything going on right now in the world with womanhood and femininity and, you know, attacks on that and absconding of that and mutilation of that and mimicking of that and, you know, kind of chalking womanhood up to an aesthetic as opposed to an experience. I'm learning when and where to put myself out there. But this Leo full moon that's approaching tomorrow is going to be almost exact conjunct my Venus at 15 degrees Leo, approaching 16. So it's the time. It's the time to get out in the world a little bit. My natal chart will always ultimately override my progressions. That might be the mood. The progress chart might be the general environment and mood and can give me a lot of insight into what phase I'm in. But my natal chart will always kind of just push itself through ultimately. So I decided to come on tonight. Anyways, the Fool is our first card. Beginnings, starting over, the zero point. And also that kind of reminds me of where a lot of the collective energy might be at right now, is this converging to a 0 point of awareness where there's a collective consciousness fire that's spreading, and that goes perfectly with Leo energy. It is a fire of the mind, not a literal fire, but a ethereal fire, an eternal, infinite wisdom fire that is pushed and promoted through ideas and through heartfelt communication. And a lot of what we're going through feels like we could be starting afresh again. So like, for example, I've been drinking kombucha. I'm 38, so I've been drinking kombucha since around 17. You know, but just going through ebbs and flows of life, there are times where I make better decisions, or I'm more present, you know. I'm more aware of my moment-to-moment actions and purposes and how that affects my overall energy and my overall output of expression. So there is a starting over. It's a starting over of a previous cycle. It's a continuation of a previous cycle, and that's just for my life personally. But you know, getting rid of soda and, you know, supplementing kombucha in, that's helping me get to the 0 point of a death and rebirth process. That is essentially what kombucha is. It's a fermentation of green and black tea that produces all these probiotics and lactic acids and you know, vitamin B vitamins and just really important things for the body to experience as it's passing through time. So getting back to, I have my degree in health arts and sciences from Goddard, so I know better. Like, I definitely know better than to be drinking Coca-Cola in my day-to-day life. So since I know better, there's like no excuse, you know. It's like, do better. So I've been really kind of being my own taskmaster with Saturn on that progressed Scorpio ascendant, with being a little bit more firm with myself on the steps that I need to take and not being in any way lackadaisical when it comes to self-care and self-love. And that can feel like a fresh start, you know, even though it's just falling back into previous healthier patterns I had when my life was maybe less chaotic. So 0, the Fool. Let's find out what the book has to say here. And I wonder how in your lives this is starting to play out for the Leo full moon. So spontaneity and innocence is the keywords for the Fool. And it's this card, the 0 card. The Fool is ready to fly his young wings that ache for flight, and with a single step he leaves behind the comfort of the nest to begin the journey through the major arcana. Is he ready? will he fall? This is the card about beginnings. It points to the side of you that's spontaneous, excited, naive, inexperienced. Others may doubt your abilities, but be ready to be called the fool. Be ready to fall. No matter what people say about you, this is your journey and it's already begun. So the spontaneity, of coming on here tonight. Like, I didn't necessarily plan that, but Leo has a way of pulling me out, because I do have a Leo sun in the 10th house. So it's kind of like, get on out there. So the innocence of that, the innocence of spontaneous direction. And, there's so much going on in the world that involves ugliness and calculation and manipulation. And, we can really forget that the innocence of life is where the joy of life is. Innocence in intention, when communicating and connecting with other people. Having an innocent and almost naive or foolhardy way of, there's a way to use naivete to your benefit. There is a huge, especially if you are, intelligent in any way, or emotionally intelligent, or socially intelligent, or intellectually intelligent. Naivete can really play to your benefit, because there's like old sayings that, like, once you begin to gain understanding in life and begin to gain wisdom, it will bring you to your knees, and your bones weep, basically, when you start to understand the grandiosity of the problems in the world, and the problems in individuals, and the problems in individual lives, and what we do to mask that in our social and emotional interactions. And, how a lot of times we can overcompensate, and which leads to, like, devastating outcomes if it's done from a place of pride or pettiness, which are, and egotism, which is some of the more negative qualities of, like, unevolved Leo traits. So to approach life with a bit of naivete can actually really, it makes your own experience more joyful, and it actually can really work for your benefit, to be brutally honest. Especially if you hold a lot of internal intelligence and worldly intelligence. So I like this card, and I'm wondering how in your lives, maybe with Imbolic at the February 2nd, which is basically the midpoint between the winter solstice and the spring equinox, where the buds are just starting to, and the crocuses and all the spring plants are just starting to bloom up, and the first signs of spring are here. And so we could feel a little bit of that newness, spontaneity and innocence, and naivete, and where we can work that to our benefit, where we can just come from an innocent, sincere place in our heart to express ourselves to the outer world and to our own internal narrative. There's something soothing there, especially in a world that's so harsh and critical, and at times very cruel. Innocence can be the most beautiful. That's why people have so much joy with animals and children, because there's an innocence to them, a spontaneity, and I don't know why I'm having problems with that word, but spontaneity and just impulsive action that is coming from a beautiful place, and not a pre-calculated or pre-meditated place. So the intent is really paramount here. So that's our first card, innocence. Let's see what else we got. And it was upright. So the Fool, it was upright. Ooh, was that 8 of Pentacles? Oh, well, hard work. I mean, imagine the detail, imagine the work a spider puts into its web. Imagine the detail and intricacy and imperfect perfection that a spider web holds, like that's when it comes to our work and when it comes to the Suit of Pentacles, which is, you know, the material world that we kind of mold and maneuver to give life and manifestation to our internal world. The Eight of Pentacles is saying craftsmanship and skill. So the pride that a spider takes to weave its web, but also the innate naivete and innocent action and basic necessity of survival that is also propelling that skill forward. You know, I see the presence of both of these cards, you know, in each other, actually. So craftsmanship and skill are the key words, and of course it's an 8. The spider is the true master of her craft. She weaves against all odds with skill, intricacy, and confidence. The Eight of Pentacles requires a similar approach. Hone your skills. You are very close to finding mastery at your craft, so strive for it. Pay attention to all the details. In some cases, this card means you need to find a new hobby, something you truly enjoy. Start a project and become good at it. That is something that I have been, since I haven't been doing these readings on here, I have been doing a lot of art projects and, you know, along with the self-care when I feel kind of inspired and called to that. So the little things that we might, again, feel by external world standards are not, if it doesn't provide money, it's not worth it. You know, like, what kind of life is that? You know, like, hobbies are important. Mastering skills of being with yourself and creating with yourself and, you know, being your own center of your own universe, as the Leo sun would, just like the spider is at the center of her web, you know, but she created this web and, you know, maintains and upholds and repairs her home, you know, her space, that what she's created, just like the sun at the center of our solar system upholds and maintains all the life, not only on our planet Earth, but on all planets. So I do want to say that, well, I'll go in a little bit more into the astrology, because right now the sun is in Aquarius and then the moon is is in Leo, but it's moving to that 16-degree point in opposed the sun for tomorrow's full moon, because there's an opposition between the sun and the moon when there is a full moon, and then when there's a new moon, the sun and the moon are basically on top of each other from how we perceive it. So yeah, craftsmanship, skill, steady methodical approaches. I really want to say that this new moon is also, or this full moon in Leo is also square to Uranus in Taurus at around 16 degrees. And also Uranus is the main planet, Uranus and Saturn. Saturn traditionally, modern astrology, Uranus, is the planet of Aquarius, which is where the sun is right now. We're in the solar cycle of Aquarius right now, or the season of Aquarius. So there is that extra Uranian energy. So, you know, the spider is somewhat naive, but also steady, centered, and at guard in her web, because with Uranian energies and with the sun in Aquarius, these changes can be extremely disruptive and that come along with a full moon squaring those planets. So the full moon is opposite the Aquarius sun, but it's in square, so a 90-degree angle with Uranus and Taurus. And Uranus already is kind of like, has a hard time in Taurus anyway, because Uranus is more eclectic and eccentric and like lightning fast, intuition. And so when it's kind of grounded in Taurus, it's a little bit more stifled or slowed down in its impulsiveness and intuitiveness. It kind of needs to see things in the external world change before those intuitive impulses can be fully digested. So that is kind of what we're doing. We're holding steady at the center of our home base and you know, protecting the skill and craftsmanship of what we've created. And I do want to say, like, the one quick thing I want to say about that Chinese spy balloon or whatever, I thought about it late last night. Like, I was very upset that they let this balloon just kind of survey all of our nuclear arsenal sites and some of our bases around the country. But then I also thought, you know, Lord knows what's in that balloon. Lord knows what kind of biological material, you know, mutated biological material is in that balloon. So it's kind of a great thing that they did it over the ocean as opposed to directly over American soil. It took a lot of balls to, you know, put a balloon right in our face. And, you know, I don't even know what to say about that. But anyways, it was shot down. And it was shot down in American waters. So, you know, I do think that when it comes time and when it's necessary, the spider in this case with our card will hold its ground and will stay at stay on base and make sure that things are secure for what has been created and built up. So let's go to our third card. This card is here, so I'm pulling it. Oh, 3 of Cups. Man, that's nice. All upright cards too, which is a rarity. 3 of Cups is nice. That is like a celebratory card. That is like a mutual understanding, celebratory, like, it says 3 of Cups, friendship, joy, and bounty. So that is kind of putting what's important back on center stage, you know. And the 3 of Cups, teamwork, you know, that and connection and you know, trying to come to middle grounds on things. Yeah, I like everybody loves the 3 of Cups. It's kind of like the party card, but you know, I think it's more can be just a celebration of understanding among people as well. So 3 of Cups is friendship, joy, and bounty. The 3 of Cups is a lovely card. It foresees you in the company of amazing friends, creating memories together that you'll forever hold dear. These are not any old friends. These are people with whom you share a rare connection. With them you feel truly yourself. Each minute of their company. This card can also indicate upcoming celebration. Love abounds. So yeah, you know, like really finding the people that resonate with where we're going and all this work that we're doing on ourselves, like, you know, finding the people that resonate with that and vibrate with that. And because there's going to be a lot more harmony in those interactions, even if there's disagreement or misunderstandings, there's going to be more harmonious outcomes when that underlying true friendship is there based on resonance and that vibratory frequency that we all share a common goal and a common higher mission. To me, this is not just the party card, but this is the mission card, the coming together to work through some of these harder, kind of more uncomfortable, you know, life circumstances that really, you know, having a couple good friends there can make all the difference. Just giving us outside perspectives, helping us evaluate our own behavior, helping us see ourselves, you know, through different lenses and through different modes of how we can present ourselves and present our inner worlds, you know, to really make outward change. So I really like, I mean, we did good on this one. This was totally random, just like tarot cards are, or synchronistic, I should say. But this shows that friendship will prevail, and that will ultimately help every endeavor that we wish to do. Because what's that saying where alone you can go fast, but together you can go really far. So we're gonna sit with that for a while. We just like the crows there staring at the sun. The Leo full moon is shining bright. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens this weekend. I mean, I'm a little nervous with all this, all these squares and oppositions, and Uranus really can, expect the unexpected, with squares to Uranus. Me personally right now, I also have a Uranus square my Venus, right? Because that full moon is going to be on my Venus around 15, 16 degrees Leo. So I right now have Venus square Uranus, Uranus square Venus, and then this full moon on my Venus is going to be also squaring Uranus. So I'm just like, okay, let's, here we are. This is me trying to work with Uranian energy, being spontaneous like the Fool, and just coming on and seeing what I have to say. A lot of times I'm a Gemini North Node. Sometimes I figure out some of what I'm feeling based on my ability to express that. So sometimes I figure out a little bit more of my inner world when I'm forced to have to talk about it a little bit, and how that plays into larger collective perspectives as well. Oh, wow, didn't expect that. Okay, well, these are the chakra cards. Red. That Mars and Gemini going forward right now. So this is soulmate. This is soulmate energy. So I guess all this personal work that we're doing is not in vain, because it's attracting soulmates on a friend level, on a family level, on a soul family level, and maybe even on a romantic level. And the soulmate card with a story with this one, and he's got his third eye open, and his, how he builds the world through his hands. He can see what he's building and how that is bringing in, how that's putting his consciousness out and pulling in like-minded and similar soul friendships and family and connection. And it says, it's time to face my true feelings, a rose without thorns. The legend. It's time for him to leave her again, to use the script he always does at this point. He even knows her next line. She will say, but how can you do this to me? But unexpectedly, she says, I love you. The words of the script die on his tongue. He struggles to get them out. Just a few words and he will be free, but they won't come. Suddenly, he clasps her to him. He loves her, and this is true freedom, and this is the true freedom he sought. Wow, beautiful. And red is the foundational chakra, the root chakra here. So, you can say also like at the feet, at the bottom. So this is, affecting us at the root of our being, the work that we're doing on ourselves. It's never in vain when we work on ourselves, ever. Even if you don't see a lot of what the world views as quote unquote success, it's never in vain, because we could be pulling in or vibrating out and matching some really important people in our lives without our knowledge, without our conscious knowledge anyway, just by the work we're doing internally on ourselves. So the inspiration of this card is to enjoy the beauty of a rose. We must risk being pricked by the inner thorns. This offers a new way to live. The best incentive is to change is love. That's very true. Personal inquiry. What truth am I embracing? This card indicates no longer living a lie. Key ideas are speaking your truth, choosing love, freedom through transformation, resistance to commitment, an unexpected outcome, and new truths. Key words are authenticity, treasure, and trust. And again, it's upright. So, this was a good reading. I'm kind of, with that Uranus energy, I'm kind of pleasantly surprised. Take a deep breath and this is the meditation for this card. Take a deep breath and keep relaxing until you find yourself in a safe place. Ask Great Spirit to ask Great Spirits to help you face that which you long for. Allow any nerves to pass. You may now know how to handle your present situations, and this knowledge will come to you soon. Very cool. All right. Well, that's a great reading for the Leo full moon. I'm pleasantly surprised. It's very unexpected. So I very much appreciate you guys. And if this isn't as regular as you and I would want it to be, just know that I am doing my work so that each bit of what I put out into the world, whether it be through video, audio, you know, text, whatever, or art, or, you know, ideas, you know, of how you can change, how you can try new things and change and bring, you know, more energy to and more vitality to this experience of life. You know, just know that I'm steadily working to improve who I am so that whatever message and whatever soul drive is coming through me, it can be the purest, most authentic, and most sincere that I could possibly make it. So, XOXO, love you.